We need to talk about Quentin Tarantino. He's been in the headlines this past month for sparking outrage after his comments about guys like Paul Dano and Matthew Lillard. He crapped all over them, basically, and now he's adding more and more people to his hit list. All kinds of people are catching strays. Now you got people online on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere saying, you know, fuck Tarantino, he's an asshole. He was never really that good, let's be honest. He only made one good movie. The rest of his movies are really shit and overrated. Listen, one of these statements might be true. Okay? In fact, it probably is. But the others, we gotta chill out a little bit. But you know what? This outrage rings incredibly hollow to me. I'm actually surprised there's this much backlash because, you know, this isn't even the worst of what Tarantino has said or done. Like, this is like the tip of a very dark, decrepit iceberg. These statements. Oh, he went off on Paul Dano. He's been going after Paul Dano for years, by the way. If you know, you know. I gotta break my silence, as if people care. Because I'm a Tarantino fan. I'm a big fan of this dude's work. A lot of people have asked me, he's like, yo, what do you think about these comments? I need to make this video because there's actually a lot worse that he's done that I should probably address if I'm going after Hollywood, the elites in there, and the access culture that they have that's kind of very disgusting, satanic, and degenerate. I love this guy's movies. He's inspired me. Here were my thoughts about him in general. Amazing, inspiring filmmaker, best dialogue writer maybe I've ever seen, and he writes some of the best third acts I've seen in movie history, but he's a cringe dude in real life. I don't like hearing this dude speak. I think his charisma is kind of, it's a mutation of what charisma should be. And I don't know if this dude actually has that much self-awareness in social situations, but anyways, who knows? That's what I've always thought about him. But there's a whole timeline of weird shit with Tarantino. Some of the weird stuff he's said and done that needs to be addressed, okay? Because if you think him shitting on Paul Dano is the worst of it, you don't know anything. Now, I'm not saying Tarantino's as bad as like guys like Jared Leto or Ezra Miller who are starting straight up cults and having sexual abuse allegations all over the place. I'm not talking about that. For the people who are saying, let's be real, Tarantino was never that good. He only made one good movie in his life. The rest of it's shit, overhyped garbage. You're just wrong. You're just wrong. Shittiest movie that Tarantino could shit out of his ass today is probably better than 90% of modern films, and you cannot disagree with that. It's a fact. If you want to know my favorites, Pulp Fiction isn't even my favorite. It's like the fourth best movie he's made, in my opinion. To me, in my opinion. It's number 4. Hateful Eight's number 3. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but it is. When this movie gets going, it gets going. Django's number 2. Possibly number 1. I think it's probably his best paced film of the recent one he's done. Inglourious is number 1. I think Inglourious Basterds is a fucking masterpiece, right? Now, Quentin Tarantino himself says that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is his number 1. This is a false statement, and if this opinion is indicative of anything, it's that Tarantino's opinions on many things don't count for much and shouldn't be taken as seriously as people are taking them online, all right? Just saying that. We're going to get through all the controversies, all right? We have the N-word controversy. A lot of people have gone off of him, calling Tarantino racist. Why is he taking advantage of using this slur in all his films? Spike Lee has gone off on Tarantino. A lot of black people have gone off on Tarantino, but you know what? There's people who have defended Tarantino saying, hey, the black characters that he writes in his films are the smartest in the films. He wants to make shit as real and as authentic as they were for the time. People were using the N-word, y'all, at the time periods that he was writing the stories of these films. And you know what? I don't agree with the criticism of, oh, he's using the N-word so much, he must be a racist. I don't... That never comes into my head when I'm watching his films. Like, this guy's a racist, isn't he? That's not something that comes into my head ever. Simeon Lee, the guy who played Shang-Chi, says, Tarantino... I would never have been cast in Tarantino's films because he doesn't like casting minorities. I don't ever watch a Tarantino film and think to myself, this could use more minorities, this isn't diverse enough. This is not coherent with reality. I don't envision Tarantino as being that kind of person. Now... there was an interview that he did, 106 and Park interview. If you know the one, you know the one, where he's talking in a way that's suggestive of things. He's talking maybe like a black person would. He's fixing up his accent and his cadence in a certain way. And it comes off like some of those pandering politicians who talk in front of like a black caucus of voters or a black group, and they're speaking more and more like the person they're talking to. Now people are saying, oh, this is how Tarantino always talks. It isn't. It isn't. I'm just going to say that right there. But okay, some weird stuff. The real shit, in my opinion, comes in regards to certain actors and the way he is on set and as a director. We know Uma Thurman, she infamously got injuries because of a stunt that Tarantino pressured her to do. So there are things to be said for directors going too far, and Tarantino being one of them. He also famously choked her and spat on her, apparently, get her into character, and this was also something that was an issue. I think he's done that with the actress in Inglourious Basterds too, so there's also that aspect of it. Now people are saying, okay, this is for the sake of art, and everyone on set consented to this, so it's not that big a deal. We got the feet stuff, right? Uma Thurman told her own daughter, listen, when you're working for Tarantino, keep your shoes on, because the moment you let the shoes out and he sees them, he's going to be obsessed with it. We know he has a foot fetish. He's denied it, but also admitted to it on multiple different occasions, so you don't really know what his stance is on the matter, but he definitely has a foot fetish. It's incredibly obvious to anyone. A specific actress alluded to the idea of this dude constantly obsessing over her feet, commenting on the fact that he jerked to a scene of her painting her toenails from another movie, and it made her very uncomfortable on set. So there is that. I guarantee you this dude has an OnlyFans just for feet influencers. Like, this would be the least surprising thing ever. Now, again, nothing too crazy. There's some suspect shit. He's a bit of a weirdo. He goes too far as a director. Definitely has a foot fetish. But nothing is like criminally incriminating just yet. And I don't think there's much of that you're gonna see in this kind of video when it comes down to his career, right? But now we're going down the rabbit hole. So before I get to this point, I want to say, no defamation in this video. I'm reading shit. These are publicly cited quotes. Everything's public. I'm just reading shit off the internet, alright? I'm a comedian. I'm Dave Chappelle, alright? No defamation here, y'all. None! I love Tarantino's work. Y'all know about a dude named Roman Polanski, famous director. You might have heard the name. He molested a girl, alright? I'll read you actually the proper thing. In March 1977, Roman Polanski was 43. This is a 43-year-old man, alright? Was arrested and charged with multiple felonies, including R-wording and using drugs to R-word and sodomize a 13-year-old named Samantha Gailey at Jack Nicholson's house. I didn't even know. By the way, when I heard about this crime, I didn't know it took place at Jack Nicholson's house. People fact check this, bro. How the hell is Jack Nicholson involved in this somehow? Fact check this. I could be wrong about this, but this is what was stated online, okay? And I want you to keep that in mind, because this is done at people's houses. All of these actors, all right, they all know each other. They've all hung out together. There's a possibility that all these degenerate crimes happen when some of them are witness to each other. Something to be said about people in this industry allowing and propagating certain acts in the presence of each other, okay? After serving 42 days, he feared that the judge was going to reject a plea deal, and he fled, all right? He left. So he's been gone to Europe ever since. This kid's a 92-year-old right now in Europe. Probably jerking to freaking child corn or something. I don't know. But that's what happened. There's been a lot of actors who have low-key defended this dude. This dude won a fucking Academy Award. I believe Harrison Ford accepted it on his behalf because he was in fucking Europe. And there's been a lot of actors who've had a lot to say about things in the world who have also low-key glazed Roman Polanski. But then we have Quentin Tarantino's comments about it in a 2003 interview. And look, I don't want to bring up all these old past things and saying, oh, this is who Tarantino is now. He's a terrible person. But we're going through a timeline of events here, yeah? So you have to include everything. So he was talking about what happened. And he defended Roman Polanski low-key. Actually, no, not low-key. He literally did. Arguing that the 13-year-old, it wasn't that bad a crime because she wanted it. She was a party girl. This is what they did. That's a very, very indicative and suspect thing to say on a public interview, by the way. And it's more of a statutory thing than full-on R-word because she wanted it. She consented to it as a 13-year-old girl, party girl who's being fed drugs, by the way. So that's what he said. Huge backlash from that. In 2018, 2 decades later, he apologized, saying, I was just playing devil's advocate. I hugely regret those statements. I should never have said that. It was a different time in my life. I was trying to be provocative for the sake of being provocative. Very interesting subject to be provocative on. I'm just going to say that. And to be honest, there's a lot of people who do this that for the sake of being provocative and getting outrage bait online, they'll do stuff like defend Epstein. I've been noticing this a lot. I've been seeing things on Twitter from people who have big names defending certain things just for the sake of being provocative, seemingly. So this is a common pattern with people like this. Just gonna say that. And then we have the Harvey Weinstein situation where Tarantino knew what was happening. And he even admitted to it. All right, we all know Harvey Weinstein's pretty much the start of the Me Too movement. All right, this dude molested his way through Hollywood. Right, there's tons of actresses who have called them out for this. There are tons of people who were molested in hotel rooms that this dude brought. Like, this dude would take actresses to hotel rooms and come onto them. This was a thing he did. Right, he said, "I knew enough to do more than I did." Straight up, I hung out with Harvey Weinstein a lot. I know people who were molested by him. Mira Sorvino, Quentin Tarantino's ex, the girl he was dating, he knew about her. She was harassed sexually by Weinstein. He came onto her in a hotel room. She rejected his advances, and in return, he blacklisted her from Hollywood. Many of the roles she could have gotten were he just shat on her to the point where she couldn't get anything. He blackmarked her, right? She was blacklisted from Hollywood badly, and Tarantino knew about this. The actress that I told you about, keep forgetting her name, man. She was in Phantoms as well, bro. I love this actress. She was the one who accused Tarantino of being very sexually suggestive about her feet constantly on set. She was also R-worded by Weinstein. She was like one of the first victims to come out about this. And again, Tarantino knew about this. He knew about the case settlement that happened. He knew, I think that it got thrown out, dismissed, or something happened. But there was a huge settlement that he knew about. And he knew about the shit before it went public. At best, you could say, okay, his flippant points of view on the matter of R-word and molestation contributed to his silence, because maybe he just didn't think it was that big a deal at the time. That's at best case. At worst case, because of the access culture, and it's who you know, there's a lot of parties where shit like this happens, and everyone knows, everyone's friends with people, and they all know, everyone has something on everyone, right? If you're connected to someone deep enough, you'll know if shit goes down. The Roman Polanski shit apparently happened at Jack Nicholson's house, right? Maybe Tarantino was at a house that Weinstein did something, or well, I don't want to say, I'm not trying to accuse anyone, but I'm just saying this is all possible, right? This shit happens in Hollywood all the fucking time. There are so many actors who knew about shit that was going down because probably a lot of them either saw or heard it from a friend who was at a fucking party and did nothing about it, right? And then we have the whole Israel-Gaza situation. I have to be very careful here. Don't want to get demonetized, but there's a lot of backlash on Tarantino for statements he's made in regards to this. He's very pro one side. He's visited IDF. He's given acting lessons to people from there, and he's settled down with his wife there, and he says, this is the place I'd live. I don't want to live anywhere else, right? He's made statements such as he dies a certain something. I don't want to say the word because I'm going to demonetize. And he's refusing to leave during wartime or anything. He's being actively involved in supporting them during occupation at a point where there's a lot of heat towards one side. There's a lot of pro-Palestine support. There's a lot of people saying, what about these lives? Are these people being lost? And Tarantino stayed largely silent on this. And this is a lot of people in Hollywood who support this, okay? This is not just him, but it's a big thing in Hollywood where there's clearly bias towards one side, and a lot of actors who speak out against it, they get fired from roles. They get blacklisted. Some of them, we know it's happened. I don't want to touch on the subject for too long, but it's also another big... This is like some of the more recent backlash he's gotten from this. It's a well-known thing about him. And he's not the only one. Bro, there are some weirdos in the Hollywood industry that flee towards this place and do performances here and glaze it. It's so weird. I don't know what the Kevin... If you know about the Kevin Spacey shit, it's just... I don't even know what to say. But the whole point I'm trying to make here is no one should be surprised at certain statements this guy makes and be like, how could he say this? What the hell is the outrage? This is what happens when you deify celebs. You mark them up to God status in your mind. Oh, did you hear what Quentin Tarantino said about what his favorite movies are? What his thoughts are on different actors? What his thoughts are about the world and certain social issues? Who cares? Why are we glazing these people's opinions to that degree? Why is there so much virality around what a celebrity says? These are just people. In fact, they're people who may or may not be made worse because of fame and money. Who knows? This is the issue. Every human being functions like this, especially in the public domain. They're like an iceberg. You make conclusions about what's here based off what's here. Oh, they look so pretty. Oh, they're so nice in that interview. Oh, they're such good actors. And then inevitably there's a huge husk of shit underneath. And people act surprised. People are like, oh, how could he do this? How could... Bro, stop deifying these fuckers, okay? And Quentin Tarantino has the weirdest iceberg maybe of all. Because his iceberg is not just, this light, beautiful iceberg and all the shit underneath. No, his iceberg on top is pretty decrepit. You can only imagine what's underneath, right? All this shit is just what we know. Oh, he hates these actors. Oh, he defended this sexual assault. Oh, he's connected to this sexual assault. Oh, he knew about this. Oh, he supports this that's kind of problematic and weird, right? Can you imagine what's underneath? Stop acting like this is the craziest thing in the world. We know this. You should have known this. He's been saying shit about Paul Dano for years, by the way. If you know, you know. He's had interviews where he talks about There Will Be Blood and the films in 2007. Like, he's had older interviews, and even then he was shitting on Paul Dano about how he ruined that film. And to be honest, look, I'm not the biggest Paul Dano fan in the world. Alright? I'm not gonna go crazy and act like this is the most surprising thing in the world. Listen, there are some performances of Paul Dano's where I'm like, is he overacting low-key? I don't agree with Tarantino about the There Will Be Blood criticism, because I think Paul Dano's acting in that was needed for that specific kind of character, right? in some roles, like the Riddler, where he starts yelling and singing in the asylum, even I'm like, oh, what the hell is this, bro? But you can't deny he's a fucking good actor, but Tarantino will. Tarantino will go after him. He's had generational beef with Paul Dano. My main point here is, how is anyone the fuck surprised about this? You shouldn't be. And you should probably have that mindset going forward. Just because celebrities are good actors and they look good in an interview and say the right things and have some great rousing speeches and they have charisma, it doesn't mean that they're imperfect, godlike people. No, they're going to talk shit about someone. They're going to have either a sexual assault charge or they're going to have something where they've spoken or defended someone who shouldn't be defended. They're going to support things that are kind of problematic, right? Like, this is just a thing. Your heart's going to break if you keep deifying all these celebrities. You're talking about Hollywood, a culture that incentivizes kind of bad shit. These people are yelling to you the kind of people they are, by the way. If you're surprised that people are acting like pieces of shit, they're telling you who they are. Stop trying to make excuses for them. Stop trying to be, don't be outraged. How could they do this? Stop trying to be shocked. Don't deify these people. I believe his ultimate fetish is not feet. I believe this for a while now. You know those pretentious directors, the stereotype, the archetype of a pretentious director who everything he says, he just needs it to be heard? I think Quentin Tarantino just loves hearing himself talk. That's the vibe I get from him. You know those kind of people? Where they speak and they speak with this righteous authority and they want to be heard and they just want to say things for the sake of it. Like, I just feel like Quentin Tarantino is one of those people who wants to hear himself talk. That's my conclusion on him. Amazing filmmaker. Weirdo, creep, dumbass individual in real life. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are on a mission to take over Hollywood. But the army must keep growing. If you want to suggest video topics to me, or talk about your favorite movies or favorite film theories in a community with like-minded individuals, join the Zafy Discord now. Link is in the description and the comment section as well. Join us. This movement is just beginning. We're taking over Hollywood, one coke line at a time.